what's the difference? If an African and a white person united, what's the difference? And that's basically, when you look at it, that's all African Americans are anyway. We didn't come over here these different hues. So the point I'm trying to make here is, they're trying to run this game, but nevertheless, Michelle, not only did she come to the White House, she took her mama with her. You see, and the mama is there for protection because she knows the juju. You see, from South Carolina, Barack Obama ain't stupid. He put her in the mix because the mother knows the mysteries. She knows the African sciences to keep him protected. She knows the roots. She knows the conjuration of African science. You call it voodoo, you call it roots, you call it Santeria, you call it Yoruba, you call it Obeah, or whatever you call it. You call it juju, you call it hoodoo. Whatever the deal is an African science. She's the African scientist. She's there for protection. That's why he brought her there. So what you do, so that you don't make it so they see her going down to botanicas, picking up the herbs and the roots and stuff, because our people have been taught against that. Our sciences, they take the herbs and the roots and build them in the White House lawn, call it a garden, put a few cabbages and a few tomatoes up in there, a few okra, and give it to the little people and stuff and feed them. And nevertheless, she can go in that garden right now and pull the herbs that she needs, because they plant those too. Just to keep Barack Obama protected. Mm-hmm. Because even though they might be the people who put him there might say, no, we want him to survive because we need him as a tool, but they always got these crazy people out here. You see, that can't stand a black man being up in there. You see. And as a result, he's protected from all of that. You see.
Are you trying to say that he is divinely placed?
Yes, even though the people, in order to get him there, they had to be convinced that it's a sinister thing, that it's something that they think and it's their agenda. He's divinely placed, but he's not divinely placed based on politics. See, politics is their agenda. When it comes to us, not only does it represent a self-worth, but it also represents a sign and a symbol of the coming together of us taking back the world. So that inauguration that they had, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They had the same inauguration in ancient Egypt. They used to have inauguration for the Pharaoh in ancient Hemmitt. You see. And that inauguration represented the divine king in the double White House. Now, is he the divine king? No. The DNA of black people are divine king. To celebrate, he represents the symbol of the divine kingship of the new kingdom. But the new kingdom is our DNA. Our Christhood coming into being. So the Pharaoh was a representative of God on earth, but of the people being the gods of the earth. You see. Mm-hmm. The word Pharaoh, they now translated as Pharaoh Heru. And Heru means pineal gland. And if you got a pineal gland and functioning melanin, they're talking about your DNA and your rising to a higher level. So that's what it represents. So don't get it twisted that Barack Obama, the actual human, is Christ. You see. But he represents the coming of the putting back together of Osiris in the West. So they had an inauguration in the White House, the double White House in Egypt. They also have an inauguration in America now, when that black man who represents the Pharaoh returning. You see, there's a book, Rosemary Clark's book, Secret Traditions in Ancient Egypt. She got one called Sacred Magic in Ancient Egypt. I think it's the first one. Sacred Traditions in Ancient Egypt. They talk about the inauguration period. That guy, R.A. Squalor de Lubitz, spending 15 years at Karnak Temple and Luxor Temple, chronicled that inauguration period in his works. She printed it in her work, but his book is Wisdom of the Temple is one of those books. R.A. Squalor de Lubitz. So she reprinted some of those concepts and all, which we had preserved from the Temple of Karnak and the Temple of Luxor of its inauguration that goes on in the White House, the double White House. So all of this stuff comes together. You see, all this stuff comes together. And even got the priests up in there. See, the priests ran the Pharaohs. Well, his mother, she represents that priest. Well, Michelle's mother represents that priest thing. So symbolically, we talk about something that's not the apparent. We talk about spiritual forces behind the scene. You see. Spiritual forces behind the scene. Nothing is never truly lost. It just changes another form. You see. That's some interesting stuff, you see. You know, so it's you know, so when you have to look at it and stuff. I think a lot of times we have been suffering so long until we reduce down to looking at the apparent. And the apparent looks dismal. This thing out here to run you crazy. But there's another order on the scene. Give you an example. Since 2008 with the meltdown, the financial meltdown, white people are going through hardships. Unemployment, foreclosures on houses, and all of that. So they are now forced to live in a realm, you see what I'm saying, that they haven't lived since the Great Depression. Spoiled by the fatted calf. But in that realm, we rule. Because we have acclimated ourselves, you see what I'm saying, in living in certain conditions. So they say, in the kingdom of the blind, a one-eyed man is king. In this particular case, we are the kingship. Because black people ain't tripping. White people is marching, taking over, occupied, all these movements going on and all that kind of thing, because the country is not what it used to be. Well, it's the same damn country for us as it always was. But we have conditioned ourselves. You see what I'm saying? That now, it's no big deal to us. It's not our hardship. So they say, God puts the ones that he loved through harsh conditions. They say, so that they can inherit a greater kingdom. It is the ones that he don't love, or she doesn't love, that make life go so easy for her. So when stuff falls for them, they won't have no kingdom to inherit. You see, because you got all your stuff here. You got your kingdom here. But the ones they put through the harsh conditions, they're inheriting a kingdom. And in so many words, that's a whole new way of life. We don't even know it, but we are living off of DNA. We are living off of certain things here. And it's spiritual, and it's haphazard because we don't even know we're doing it. We don't know we're doing it. You see. So pretty soon they're going to have manuals for white people how to survive through the black methodology. We're going to have to teach them. So it's amazing stuff, you see. You can learn a lot from some people that done gone through hell.
That's right.
You see. You know, they had some hard times too, but see, the eating was good at least the last 60, 70 years. Mm-hmm. They got whole things on now where white people experienced affirmative action in the 1950s, in the late 40s. They said it because white people went into, okay, now you got the Depression, that meant that everybody in this country was poor. So, how did white people get back on top when the playing field was the same in the 1930s? How did they get back on top and we remain at a certain level? They got back on top because they had affirmative action. They talk about all the programs that they put in to raise white people up to becoming the richest country on earth at a certain time. It was through affirmative action. And they're going to tell you about affirmative action. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They said all the programs from the late 40s, the 1950s, and the 60s was to put white people at a certain advantage. And it's a form of affirmative action. There's a book out on when white America, when affirmative action was white, written by a white man. Something like that, yeah, so it's interesting. So, I tell you, is there any questions?
No, Bobby, we're going to get you to the airport.
Yeah.
But we certainly appreciate your time, and we appreciate this lecture.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that people will get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, again, we want to thank you, and
right.
we look forward to your next visit.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Safe journey back to Georgia.
I tell you. All right.